Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to dive into Upper Echelon over here, and he's going to talk a little bit about the Epstein file that recently got exposed. I have a lot to say, so I'm probably not going to go ahead and react to this whole entire video, but those of you who sticks around to listen to my opinion, thank you for sticking around. With that being said, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you like what you hear and see, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Let's get it.
All right, today I want to go over the 20,000 emails that were recently subpoenaed and released from the Epstein estate because everyone is talking about this right now with good reason. And I want to pick out the 21 most interesting, damaging, and shocking revelations because the story of Jeffrey Epstein, his ties to Donald Trump, his level of global influence, and the implications it all has for the country and the world has now been blown wide open. Let me start off a little bit differently here. Rather than simply diving in right away, I want to begin with a sort of index glossary of names. There's a pretty hefty number of people that we need to be familiar with before comprehending these emails. So at the very start, right now, I want to go through one by one and explain who these people are so that if at any point someone doesn't remember or I say a name that they don't recall or aren't familiar with, they can come back to the beginning and find out who that person is, why they matter, etc. Here we go. First, obviously, is Jeffrey Epstein, financier, trafficker, well-connected socialite, and the main subject of the video. He was arrested in 2006, again in 2019, and he died under suspect circumstances in 2020. If you want to know more, there's a bunch of prior videos in the playlist down below, but yeah, I'm sure pretty much.
He's dead. And guess what? You bought it. Oh my God. Anyways, that's just a taste of what I have to say, but let's continue.
Much everyone is already familiar with who he is. Next is Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell was Epstein's right-hand woman, if you will. She helped facilitate all of his activities, participated directly in the trafficking and the abuse, resulting in a conviction. But after a special interview with the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, she was moved to a minimum security holding facility with special treatment as well, and is now allegedly seeking clemency from President Donald Trump. Obviously, logically, Donald Trump is next. Pretty sure everyone already knows who he is. But his wife, Melania, is also a kind of important figure because she's currently embroiled in a potential lawsuit with an author named Michael Wolff after threatening him with a $1 billion defamation suit in an effort to force retractions on some of the claims that he made about her and Jeffrey Epstein. Michael Wolff, as we just said, an author who wrote extensively about Epstein and conducted a number of interviews with him, supposedly something like 100 hours of footage, is a journalist and author closely connected to the Epstein story.
I mean, that's pretty amazing how he managed to literally squeeze out that much hour of interview with Epstein. Crazy. Although we knew that Epstein was a Mossad agent working for a foreign government, and somehow, some way, he was able to interview him. I'm just gonna go ahead and say from the, based off of that somehow, some way he was involved in the whole situation, because you gotta understand that they have a very tight circle. They don't allow people, journalists that are not in line with them to come and just simply sit there and interview them, because let's be honest, they're gonna ask the hard question. They're gonna ask the question that's definitely gonna put them in prison. So the fact that Michael Wolff, went ahead and got over 100 hours of interview with Jeffrey Epstein raises my eyebrow. But then again, let's go ahead and continue, because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I have not read the whole entire, obviously, the 20,000 emails, and Upper Echelon here is probably just gonna go ahead and, I guess you can say, dumb it down or sum it up for us to understand a little better.
Who has not only made explosive claims about things he allegedly saw, but also embedded himself in the controversy by targeting President Trump repeatedly.
Okay.
Moving on, we have Landon Thomas Jr., a New York Times journalist who is also relevant to the situation, highly. But I also think it's worth mentioning that from 1994 to 1998, Landon Thomas was an asset manager at Morgan Stanley. He's not just a journalist, he's also a finance guy. Next up is Steve Bannon, former chief strategist at the White House during the first 7 months of Trump's 2016 presidency, which is very important. Then we have Catherine Rumler, former White House counsel to Barack Obama, 2011 to 2014, and Larry Summers, former Secretary of the Treasury, Director of the Economic Council, and close personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Still not done, there's Bill Clinton, former president, Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, and then Linda Stone, who is a former Apple and Microsoft executive who reportedly idolized Epstein. Her name comes up in the emails as well. Almost done. Last.
Let me see. Career.
Three
No.
names.
I was looking for
Tom
something, but
Barak or Barrick, not sure how to pronounce that. Private equity and real estate guy who's done extensive fundraising for President Trump, also serving as the senior advisor on the 2016 Trump presidential campaign, chairman of his inaugural committee, and now current United States ambassador to Turkey. There's Vitaly Churkin, former
yeah. So an ambassador to Turkey. And let's keep going.
Russian
Let's keep going.
ambassador to the United States. And lastly, Thorbjorn Jagland, former Prime Minister of Norway and Secretary General of the Council of Europe. There's a few more names here and there, but those are the ones
I just thought about it, right? Because you see, the funny thing is, like, when they put on the news and they start talking about each other, they make it look like they're such enemies and they hate each other's guts. And then, they don't like each other. They don't like each other's policy. One person says this and the other person has to go ahead and either condemn it or, do something that says, oh, I disagree with it. Meanwhile, these guys are all in bed together, fucking the same person. This is a level of corruption, ladies and gentlemen, that has reached a level that, in order for us to fix this, I'm going to be honest with y'all. In order for us to fix this, I'm not going to say it.
that we need to fully
But use your brain, okay? A corruption at such high level, government corruption, police corruption, military corruption, such a high level, they got the tentacles in almost everything and anything, and they control the food that you eat, the water that you drink, you know what I'm saying, the house that you live in. They own all of these things, and these people are corrupt. How the fuck do you get them out of power? Use the brain cell that you have and come to a conclusion. I'm not going to get this channel deleted.
Understand, because the 21 most interesting or damaging emails specifically refer to, come from, or are exchanged with one of these people. With that fully out of the way, let's dive right in. 20,000 emails have been released by House Democrats and House Republicans, in a complete mess, by the way. The formatting is terrible. It's just, they're all over the place. But those emails are now being dissected by the internet at large. Thankfully, there is a searchable database that was put together by Courier, which I'll link down below for anyone interested. So the process of finding and sorting out relevant versus irrelevant emails becomes much, much easier. And after doing precisely that, these are the top 21 things that I believe are most interesting, damaging, and shocking from all of them.
PDF file.
Number 21. This is an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Landon Thomas Jr., New York Times journalist, in 2015, after Landon Thomas said that everyone was coming to him thinking that he had juicy info on Epstein and Trump. Quote,
keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, as he goes ahead and goes over these emails, just remember this. Jeffrey Epstein was asked in the past, he was asked the question. I don't remember exactly the question, but his response was, if he was to release what he knew about, Clinton, what he knew about Donald Trump, what he knew about Hillary Clinton, all of these people, he said there will not be any election. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong, because fast forward today in 2025, look what we're seeing. These people are in bed with each other. They are screwing the same people.
Read the BuzzFeed Read My Airplane Logs in Hawaiian Tropic contest / have them ask my houseman about Donald almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight into the door. End quote. Not the most salacious thing in the world, to be honest, distracted by young women in a pool, but I figure we might as well start slow at the beginning. Number 20. Contained in the very same email thread about how people assumed there was juicy info, Epstein also says, quote, would you like photos of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen? End quote. Still nothing explicitly wrong with that per se, but certainly a step up in severity. That is, Epstein offering ambiguous or potentially compromising photos of Trump to a reporter.
See, my question is this, okay? Jeffrey Epstein was working on the behalf of a specific country or state, right? And so everything he says and does is to compromise a very specific person, to literally rack up more and more, felony charges, I would say, right? So that way this person can easily be controlled. This person can easily be manipulated. For example, if you go back in the 90s and the 80s and stuff like that, right? The way you will control people in high positions of power is if they're having intercourse with other men, you can take this picture because it was very, very frowned upon during that time. So all you needed was just him having intercourse with another man and you got him under control. Fast forward today, if we have, let's say, Donald Trump having intercourse with another man, people are not going to really see a big problem with that. You see what I'm saying? People aren't going to see a lot of problem with that because homosexuality is something that is prominent in society today. People don't have any problem with another man sleeping with another man. But what people do have problem with is the fact that you have a sitting president sleeping with an underage person. That is where the line crosses. And so Jeffrey Epstein, his job is to make sure that they are able to compromise a political leader in every single aspect, whether that's man on man, him with the minor, him, bribery, him, money corruption, you name it, everything and anything that you can possibly imagine to get this person in line. His job was to make sure that he does that.
Number 19. This is where things get much more complicated. Donald Trump has long maintained that he split away from Jeffrey Epstein entirely in the early 2000s. There's been multiple contradicting reasons directly cited for that breakup, let's call it, but all of them occur between 2004 and 2007. At least, that's what we've been told. In an email thread from an unknown redacted sender as of 2017, a visitor was on their way to Epstein's house, notably the second floor of Epstein's house, which is where prominent victim Virginia Giuffre specifically indicated the massage tables were, and the bedrooms with cameras were documented in evidence photographs, aka the place where abuse occurred. This unknown person went to meet him as part of an exchange where they asked for a door code while Epstein's own person went.
Really? You walked through this door and you didn't say, oh my God, it's so beautiful. What is that little black thing up there with the red light on it? It wasn't that obvious. I mean, literally, like, and even if, see, maybe this was part of Epstein's plan. You know what I'm saying? He would make it very obvious that he has a camera in this little corner. And then once you catch that, he's like, oh shit, my bad. That was for somebody else. Let me go ahead and take it down. Meanwhile, you will focus on this. There's probably a little camera right here. There's probably a little camera above looking right down. There's probably a camera and, in the little, in the vent right here, AC vent. Yeah.
Went to meet him as part of an exchange where they ask for a door code while Epstein says that the house is more private for a meeting. And then suddenly, quote, I'm at the door, but I will wait for my time. I don't want to come early to find Trump in your house, end quote. And keep in mind, this is 2017, nearly a decade after the two had supposedly parted ways. Number 18. This is an exchange allegedly between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein. Reading, quote, from Epstein, Prince Andrew and Trump today. Too funny, Bannon. Recall Prince Andrew's accuser came from Mar-a-Lago. Further down, can't believe no one is making you the connective tissue, referring to Epstein. To which Epstein then replies, F and B only, end quote. Seemingly speaking in code, I guess. I'm not entirely sure what
I
to
think
make
that's
of that
female
one,
and
but
boy.
I certainly thought it was interesting.
I mean, it sounds female and boy only. That's what it sounds like to me. And I won't be surprised if that's what it is because, like, if these people also fuck animals, I'll be like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Let's be for real. It won't be surprised to me if they were out there fucking dogs. Or a donkey. Or a chicken. You name it. They could probably be into bestiality. When you have been compromised, you know what I mean? When you have been compromised and you're already on record doing heinous crime, what's stopping you from just, following your desire, doing whatever it is that you want to do? If it's enticing for you to go ahead and have sex with an animal, what's stopping you from doing that? You've already been compromised. What else can they have on you that's going to be even more incriminating? So if this right here stands for female and boys only, okay, that would make a lot of sense to me. I'm just being honest with y'all here. All right.
Number 17. This is an exchange between Kathy Rumler, former White House counsel to Barack Obama, and Jeffrey Epstein in 2014. Quote from Epstein, you need to talk to boss, Rumler responds. Agreed, but I need to be prepared to say yes before I talk to him. Epstein again. Understood. It comes down to high risk slash reward, low risk slash reward, professional, emotional, and financial. After which Rumler responds, most girls do not have to worry about this crap. And Epstein says, girls? Careful, I will renew an old habit. After which he lists off some of the world's most powerful businessmen and politicians, saying, you are a welcome guest at any. Also, if you think there are interesting people in town, everyone here for Climate Summit, Clinton, Security Council, holy shit, I'm on or next 30 minutes. And
Damn.
one thing I should mention right now before going further, these
Crazy.
emails are absolutely full of typos. Epstein and multiple of the people that he regularly corresponded with had precisely zero regard for proper grammar. So if it sounds like near gibberish at times, that's just what the emails look like.
And I think it's intentional. Everything these people do and say is very much intentional. And the reason I say that is because literally they know that if they say something on an email one way, eventually, most likely it'll be exposed. You know what I'm saying? That's why he was using like F and B. If you knew that it wasn't going to be exposed, why be so encrypted? Why not just go ahead and say it and just get it over with? But they know, right? They know that if this was to come out in the future, they want to try to have plausible deniability. If not that, they want to go ahead and be ambiguous in the sense that if it talks about a girl, whether it's young or older, they can just go to court and say, I'm talking about a girl that's over age. She was like 26 years old. How can you prove that she was not? You really can't. The most incriminating part of all is what they said on the phone and what they have in recording. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the one that we need to get our hands on. But that's never going to happen. Let's be honest with ourselves. That's not going to happen. Look what happened when, when the whole Jeffrey Epstein situation was going on. Their excuse, we're not going to release it because, I can't really think of the excuse that they came up with from the top of my head right now. But in conclusion, they were literally just jumping all over the place, trying their best to avoid people, to avoid releasing any videos or anything like that. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it right here, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, if you want to go ahead and watch the entirety of the video, Upper Echelon right here does a really good job going over some of the emails that was released. But one thing that I do want to say with my closing is that now you guys understand why we are constantly in division among each other, because you have a bunch of PDF files who are constantly screwing kids in the background. And of course, they are covering for a specific country in the Middle East, right? Because, let's be honest, they got a major project going on over there. And in order for that project to be successful, anybody and everybody who stands in the way of that project needs to be eliminated. They need to be demonized. They need to be hated, whether that's in the United States or in Europe or in their homeland, which is why we had a 20-year war. In conclusion, Muslims are being blamed for the problem that they started. Muslims are being blamed for the project that they want to continue. And you, those of you out there who hate Muslims, those of you out there who, constantly wants to also blame Muslims for the problem that you have, just understand that you have PDF files who are screwing kids that are literally destroying your economy, destroying your way of life, making sure that your gene and whatever it is that you're so proud of is something that is completely destroyed because you are so proud of your white race, and yeah, it's being wiped out. Why? Because the border is completely open for foreigners to come in. Also, why? They had a 20-year war completely destabilizing the Middle East. Of course, those people are going to want a place to go ahead and settle down in because, you blew up their home. You completely destroyed their country. And then on top of that, you planted some of your goons that is causing chaos in that land. So the only place that they can go to be safe away from all of that disaster is where? Here in the United States or in Europe. And then you want to go ahead and sit on the internet and start tapping your way. Oh my God, we are being wiped out. The Muslims are invading us and all of these things. And yet you don't want to turn around and say, why the fuck are we in their country blowing them up? Look at the Palestinians. They are a really great example. Although they've been going through such high tribulation, yet they don't want to leave. You think Muslims want to leave the Middle East and come into Europe? You think they want to leave the way of their life? You think they want to leave a place that their ancestors have been living for generation after generation? to come into Europe. They don't want to do that. They want to remain in their home. But in order for that to happen, your PDF file leaders need to go ahead and remove their troop, need to go ahead and completely cancel the whole entire Israeli project because it's a failure. The moment it started, it was a failure from the get-go. But obviously, we know that they have invested trillions of dollars into it, so that's definitely not going to happen. Whew. I'm going to go ahead and stop it right there. If you made it this far, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys up in the next video.